So, hi all. In this session, we'll be seeing about count and its related functions. But before going to count, there is one more important thing I wanted to convey here. Like in the previous session, we have seen dsum. Okay, so dsum can also be calculated using like another way. Why? Because this, like, if we change how we are going to calculate it, it will be helpful for while using count related functions. So let us say how dsum earlier we were calculating this. So if you see equal to dsum of, we selected our entire database, B3 to G19, and my field is my, which we are going to find it here. So my total price and my criteria, okay, which I'm going to what I'm going to change it and see. Okay, that is going to be my criteria, these two cells. Now, like let us say, if I'm going to add in the main data table, I'm going to add a unit or the currency value for the total price. Okay, let us say I'm going to add the dollar value, okay, for the total price. Okay, I'm going to give just enter. So now if you see here, you are getting a error. Okay, you're getting a value error here. Why does this happen? Okay, this value error occurs because you're changing in the data set, but you are not changing anywhere here. Okay, you're not changing in the field. So that's why what we can do is, what I'm going to, we are just going to rephrase the formula. Okay, just a simple correction. So instead of just selecting the field here, I'm here afterwards, I'm going to select the field as here itself. Okay, this total price, what I'm going to find it here, and we are going to select it here itself. Okay, so in the previous session, why we have seen is many would get confusing why we are selecting it there, because like why we were selecting it there was to make you all understand that what we are going to find is nothing but going to be a field there, or which we are going to consider it as considered as a field here. So now if you just select it and see, you'll be getting the value. Okay, so always remember here in dsum, we are not going to select this area. So we'll be selecting in the data table itself or the entire data set itself. So whenever you can give any name here, instead of total price, you can change total cost also sometimes. So that times the value may not, what to say, match it there. So when you're going to select it here itself in the main data base itself, it will be easy for you. So here you can give any name. So when you're changing here, automatically it changes here also. So always remember, in the data table itself, you, or in the database itself, you will be selecting the field, and only the criteria you'll be coming out and selecting it. Okay, so this is how this is going to work. So here also, like I have changed it, so my database, then my field, instead of selecting it here, I've selected it here, this cell. Okay, so when I'm changing, if I give any other currency value or I change the name also, there is going to be no problem. So anyway, I'll be getting the result. Okay, then my criteria alone here I've selected, and again similarly, so escape. Now I'm going to again for the three criteria also, I've selected the database, then my field. Okay, so this field also I've selected in the database itself. That is the one important change you have to do. For understanding only, in the previous session it was actually given outside here we considered, but if you're going to give it like that, it will be difficult, like when there is some changes in the database. And the next thing what we are going to see is actually criteria, it has been selected here. Okay, so that's all over for the dsum session. Now we'll move on to a fresh session, which is count session. Okay, so this is one of the most important like functions you have to know, which is also simple, quite simple. Okay, so what and all we are going to see is count, counta, count blank, dcounta, countif, and countifs. Okay, so here if you see, what is actually count function? What does this count function do is, this count function actually counts, okay, only the numbers. So this count function counts only the numbers, okay. So this count function counts only numbers. That is what you have to remember. Next thing is count A. So always remember A, it stands, like you can keep it, it stands for alphabets also, okay. So it includes your errors, your text, any text, whatever you have, or your alphabets, your numbers. So all those things are considered by count A. Okay, so even you can have some spaces here and there between, like between your letters. It obviously counts there. But what does count blank does is, you always have to remember, it considers only your spaces. Okay, only the space cells are being considered here, only spaces. Let us say I have 10 cells and 5 blank cells are there. So this okay, let us consider another example. We are having 10 cells, out of which there are 4 blank cells. Okay, so this count blank, what it does is, it counts only those 4 blank cells. Okay, that is what this count blank does. Okay, now let us go on to the example. So in the example, if you see, this is like a similar example what we have seen in the previous data set. Like for sum, if we have seen the same data set we have here. So first you have this service, it is a beauty parlor or a service barber shop. There the service is being provided, these are the services which are being provided, and the stylist names are also being listed, and what kind of service they provide, and what is the mode of payment they receive. Okay, either cash or credit card. Then the pricing range. Okay, I have 16 totally. I've considered only 16 number of services here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to count how many times the services is being provided. Okay, number of times, how many times it is being provided. I don't consider like whether it's repeated or not. I'm not going to consider it. I just wanted to know how many times the services are being provided. So I'm just going to give equal to count of. Okay, if you see, it counts the number of cells in a range that contains numbers only. You have to remember that. Okay, so count of. Now I'm going to select this cell, control shift down. Since it contains number, obviously it will get counted. Okay, I'm just going to give enter. So it is 16. So through the serial numbers listed here itself, you can find 16 times the service is being provided. So let us see whether, like for testing, whether it works with variables also. I'm just going to select this cell, control shift down, enter. So if you see, it is showing only one. Sorry, I'm not, it has not got selected. I'm going to select stylist name. Okay, then I'm going to get enter. So if you see, we have got only 0 here. Okay, so why this thing happens is, like it does not consider any text in it. Okay, and it does not count any text, whereas count A overcomes this. Okay, overcomes this error. So I'm just going backward, count of only this numbers I'm going to select, so you'll get 16. So now count A, it counts your numbers. Okay, it counts your numbers as well as your text. So if you see count A function, what does it do? So this count A function, it counts the number of cells in range that contains your numbers, that is count A. So if that is count A means it counts the number of cells in a range that are not empty. So if your cell is not empty, whatever is there, whether a space is there or even when there is error is there, everything gets counted. That is what is the function of count A. So count A, sorry, count A tab. Now I'm going to select my values. So either you can select here any cell, this cell or this cell or this range of cell, any cell. I'm just going to select this entire range. Okay, just give enter. See, that's all. So here, even if you select these set of cells, you are getting the values. So one more thing, like you may have a doubt whether count counts the functions also. So let us say I'm just giving here, it is an empty cell, the nearby cell. So I'm just giving count function of this cell. Okay, I4. So what does it show? It is showing 0. But let us consider I'm giving a space here. Okay, a space. I have given space here. Okay, space. Okay. So if you see, I'm just going to give enter. It again, it is 0. But I'm going to use a function called count a. Okay, count a function. Just give enter. So if you can see, you can find 1 because count a also counts blank. Okay, blank, that is spaces are also considered. Spaces are also considered. So it does not count blank cells. That you have to remember it. Okay. So now, um, what we are going to see is count blank function. Okay. So count blank means it considers only the spaces. Okay. Spaces also, I should not mention spaces here. I should mention as blank space or blank cells. Okay, it's a correction. So it considers only blank cells. But here as count A, it considers also spaces. Okay, this considers only blank cells. So I'm just going to count my blank cells. Count blank of. If you see, it counts the number of empty cells in a specified range of cells. So count blank, I'm going to select this entire range wherever you can select it. I'm just going to give enter. So it is showing 0. So here obviously you can see we don't have any blank regions here. So obviously it is returning 0. So you can check it for another cell also, another range. I'm just selecting, I'm just giving enter. Okay, so it also counts your text also, but it contains only the blank cells. It goes and checks whether there are any blank cells irrespective of the numbers or text or error. It consists only the blank cells are present or not. Next, we are going to see is the examples. Okay, main example. So here I'm just going to find the function. Use the function. I have a list of cells here. Okay, this consists of your symbols. Okay, your errors, two errors you have. Then you have a blank region here. Then you have your numbers, your text, and blank space. Then again you have text combined with a symbol. Then your number and your alphabet combo. Okay, now let us work with this function and see. I'm going to give equal to count of tab. I'm going to select this entire place, then give enter. So count has received only one. Why? Why, if you see here, of these all things, even though here you have 12 here, obviously you have a number called A, sorry, alphabet A here. So it does not count. So only this cell has been counted here. So that is the value. So one is obviously correct. Next is count A. So count of A. So if I give this function, I should get, except the empty spaces, I should get all the values. So count A of, I'm going to select this entire region, then enter. So 7 has been obtained. So let us check and see. 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5, 6, and 7. So as I've told you earlier, so if I'm just going to give one space here, okay, space, I'm just going to give space. So it might not be visible for you, but it also counts as. So always ensure your spaces are being removed in the cells. Okay. And next thing what we are going to see is count blank. So equal to count blank of this entire range, then give enter. So if you see, you can find two blank cells, and that is the value which you have obtained it here. So now we have seen count, count A, and count blank. Okay. Next, what we are going to see is dcount A. Okay. So dcount A is a function which is always we have seen earlier also in dsum also. D always denotes, like, you have to remember, it is a condition based or criteria based work. You're going to do something like that, so that is the thing you have to remember. So I've already done this work. So how this is comes, I'll say you. Okay. So before going to that, so what is, we are going to see here two functions. Okay, one is dcount and another thing is dcount A. Okay, so dcount stands only for numbers. Okay, criteria based, it checks only the numbers. Okay, dcount A, as we have seen earlier, except all your blank cells, other things it will count. Okay, and here additionally D has been added to count A, which means it is criteria based. Earlier, as we have seen in dsum, that's why in the starting of the session itself we have gone through like a dsum, like how we can modify it from the previous session I've told you. Okay, so now let us go into the problem. So you have the same data set here: service, stylist name, payment, and price here. So now in the criteria based selection, what we are going to do is like, you're going to just copy the service. This is like mostly similar to your dsum. Okay, so you're just going to copy the service here. Let us say I'm just copying it here. Okay, or else I'll remove it. Hmm, let it be. Okay, service here. Then I'm just going to copy my stylist name. Okay, stylist name, I have copied it here. Okay, so this is how it works. You're just going to copy it from here and you are just going to paste the cells here. Okay, this is how this works. Okay, so I'll just copy the same things here also. Okay, so this is how service and stylist names I have copied it. Okay, so now what we are going to do is, so I'm going to find how much times the service of shaving has been done by the stylist Jane. Okay, this is my criteria. So shaving and Jane, okay, of these two combo, I'm going to find how many times it is being done. Okay, so I'm going to use equal to, okay, the count. Okay, so if you see here, dcount, it counts the cells containing the number in the field of records in the database that match the conditions you specify. Okay, dcount. So I'm just going to give tab, and it is very similar to your dsum. You're going to select your entire database. Then, so we have seen it here, always in the field, what you're going to find, how many times it is going to find it. So always here in dcount, you have to be a little bit careful. If you're going to select here any of the words, okay, any of the words, it is not going to consider. It is going to consider only the column which has the numbers. So I'm just going to select price here. Okay, so this price, okay, price, comma, which is going to be my criteria. Obviously these two cells are my criterias. Now just select enter. Decount, so it has given two numbers. So shaving and Jane, these two combinations are twice it has been done. So let us check it. So here you have shaving and Jane combination. Then where do you have? Yes, then here. So two times she has done, Jane has done shaving. Okay, this is how this function works. Now let us move on to dcounta. Okay, before moving on, let us change the name and see. Shaving, and I'm going to give Lucy, Lucy. So shaving and Lucy, again I'm receiving two. Okay, then it has been done twice again. Okay, then let us select, change the combination and see. Shaving and Sandy. Okay, shaving and Sandy. It has been done, okay, once here. then only once it has been done. Okay, this is how your decount works. Now we'll move on to decount A. So decount A is something which, what to say, it contains all your cells except your blank cells alone. So I'm just going to give equal to dcount A tab, my entire database. Then how many times, like, price is going to be my field here. Okay, price is going to be my field here. Then my criteria is going to be obviously the same set of cells. Okay, so this two cells. Then I'm just going to give enter. Okay, so you're getting the same value, but let me change the name and see. Shaving and change. So here also I'm getting the same values. Mm, okay, database and criteria. So let us just change the names and see. Instead of shaving, I'm just going to give it here washing and combing. And this name, I'm just going to select it as Sandy. Okay. So if I change the value here, so here if you could see, the value has become 1 and 2. Why 1 and 2 is because, like, here if you could see in D count, this is going to consider all your price range. Okay, so washing and combing Sandy in D count, if you consider in the database, washing and combing by Sandy has been done twice. Okay, here if you could see a credit card through, cash through, so twice it has been done. But if I use D count, I'm getting only one. Okay, but whereas D count A, if I'm going to use washing and combing, even though the price has not been obtained, or if she has done freely, or if she has not done any, like Sandy has not done any work, like, it has to show. Okay, how many times it has been listed, it has to show. Okay, so here if I'm going to use decount A, obviously you'll get the correct value. So nil has been considered here. Again, if I'm going to give space here, it is going to show only one. Okay, since I have typed here nil or some alphabetical value, so it is showing decount A. So can you all understand it? That is the difference. So for decount, even if two values are like similar, only the number is being considered. In D count A, like, two values, but it should contain text. Okay, it should not be a blank space. Okay, otherwise it considers all the values. So that is the function of D count A. Okay, now let us move on to the next function, which is countif and countifs. Okay, so what is countif and countifs? If you see, it is very much more similar to your sum and sum if function, or if and ifs. So if you see here, countif, then countifs. Okay, so countif considers only one criteria or only one condition. Okay, one condition to count. Or here in count IFS, it contains like one or more conditions. One or more conditions. So this is the function of count IFS. Okay, so you always have to remember it. So even one or one condition also you can give in count IFS and you can check and see. Okay, so now let's move on to the problem. It is the same data set we were using it earlier. So for May 2023 of a beauty parlor, the data has been provided for the entire May month. Okay, so if you see the service which has been provided by them, like whether it's shaving or kit service or washing and combing, all the services are being listed. by whom the stylist or the stylist work which has been provided, the stylist name has also been provided, and then you have the payment type which they are receiving it, and afterwards you have the price also. Okay, now I'm going to give how many times in total. Here, first question is how many times in total shaving has been done. Okay, so there you have in some if or you'll have a depends, like you'll be having some range everywhere. Here you don't have that problem at all. It is very much more simple. So equal to count if. Okay, tab, I'm going to select my range. Okay, range means not the entire this table database. I'm going to select the criteria range alone. So shaving is my criteria, control shift and down. Okay, shaving is my criteria, comma, my criteria is shaving. For a safer work, as we have seen already, we are going to lock the cell, okay, by selecting F4. I'm just going to give enter. Okay, now if you just select it down, you'll be getting the values. Okay, this is how countif function works. So like for countif function can be used as an alternate for your dcount and dcounta function. Usually like we can go for countif and countif ifs, like when you're very well versed with sum and sum ifs also. Okay, now let us move on to count IFS. Count IFS works when there are one or more multiple conditions are there. So here if you see how many times shaving is done, and with with the condition of how much times cash is being received. Okay, so shaving and cash, so there are two conditions. So obviously we'll be using what count IFS. So equal to count IFS tab, my first criteria. Okay, I'm going to take as usual my first criteria range as my service. Okay, shaving, control shift down. You can obviously change your criterias. Okay, your first criteria can be cash also. So criteria range 1, my shaving. Then my criteria range 2 is going to be the column which contains the cash. Okay, so the range, so payment, control shift down. Okay, range, comma. So my criteria 2 is going to be cash. So always I've told you. So you have to see what is the type of words, whether uppercase or lowercase or space, which is being present in the words has to be noted. So here the cash in the capital C is not here. So only smaller letters all are there. So I'm just going to give KCASH. I'm just going to give close. Okay, 42 times it has been done. Shaving and cash has been received. So again, for a safer side, we are going to lock the absolutely, we are going to reference the cells by pressing F4. Just close it. Now, just if you're going to select all the cells, you'll be getting the value for count IFS. So let us see a few more examples, just three more examples, which you can do it within seconds. So here again, like it has been told, like stylist name they have given, and how many times Jane, Martha and Alex have done their work. Okay, it is just a comment. Here you can obviously use count IFS also, but let us work using count if. Okay, count if. So this is going to be my range. Okay, because stylist they have given, so control shift down. So my entire range gets selected, comma, my criteria is here. Now close it, enter. So 25 times Jane has provided. For a safer side, we'll be locking the cells. Now just select it down. So these are the values. Now next what we are going to do is how much times Jane has performed shaving. Okay, so there are two criteria. So equal to count IFS tab. my first criteria. So I'm just going to select here Jane as my first criteria. So my first criteria range, then comma, my criteria one is Jane. Next, my criteria range 2 is going to be, my criteria range 2 is going to be the service range because shaving. Okay. Then comma, my criteria 2 is going to be shaving. So always you have to remember that here, if it is explicitly you have a special cell, you can reference it. Okay. Like this. Otherwise, you can go for giving it within the quotes. Since SHAVING, S is capital in the database, I'm giving the same. Okay. Now I'm just going to log these cells. Okay, enter. Okay. So this is how your countifs works. Now let us see for how many times kids works also by using another cell referencing. Okay, I'm not going to select or type within the quotes. So let us see equal to count ifs tab. My first criteria range is going to be Jane and kids are my two criteria. So I'm first is my stylist name. Control Shift and down. Okay, your cell gets selected. Comma, my first criteria is Jane because this is quite easier. Next, what I'm going to do is my criteria range 2. Okay, my criteria range 2 is obviously my kids or service area. Okay, so control shift down. Okay, so control shift down, and my second criteria is going to be kids. Okay, so kids is here, K capital. Okay, so this is how you will be getting. But how if I wanted to go for cell referencing? I'm just going to type here KIDS kids. Okay, anywhere you can type it in a blank cells. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, so let me select the cell and keep it here. Okay. So kids. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, so this is my criteria range one, that is stylist name range. Then criteria range two, criteria one is Jane, that is stylist name. And criteria range two is the service which is being provided, that particular range. Okay, that also we have selected. Now, instead of giving like this within the quotes, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the range. It is same as what you do it here. Okay, so you can type it somewhere else and you can just give the reference. I'm just going to give enter. Okay, you get the same values. Okay, so I'm just going to lock the cells except the criteria cells. I'm just going to mm, select or lock these cells. Sorry, I get an error. F4. Now enter. Okay, that's all. So here, if you see, again, you get the value of 0 here. Why do you get the value 0 here? Obviously, here, if you see, that is one problem, so that we type it within the quotes. So A9 I've given, obviously, next, you are moving. So next stylist name you're moving. So in the next stylist, it obviously takes Martha here. But here, if you see, instead of this cell, it has moved on to the next cell. Okay. So what you have to do is like you can either lock your cell here. Okay. You can even lock your cell here. Okay. I'm just going to lock my cell here. I'm just going to drag it down so that only this cell, whenever you move it, is going to get selected. So this is how your cell referencing works also. Okay. So in the next session, we'll move on to the methods of dispersion. Okay.